once in a while, we got to buy a minute or so because he drops the kids off. And JP is with us. Good morning, JP.
Put his makeup on. He's looking good. He's all refreshed.
We could go down many rabbit holes with you this morning after soccer and NFL wild weekend, but let's dig right in on this Dansby Swanson contract. Yeah, there was an easy line to draw between him and the Chicago Cubs, and we do have a deal to report this morning. Tell us about it.
We do. Good morning. What a weekend indeed in Major League Baseball, and Dansby Swanson is on the north side. We had talked a lot about would that number be around $200 million. It was just shy of that, but certainly a great deal for Dansby Swanson in a place where he and his new wife Mallory wanted to be. Of course, Mallory plays for the Chicago Red Stars. Dansby now a Chicago Cub. The first couple of Chicago sports, indeed, 7 years. $177 million. The Braves lose a cornerstone player for the second straight off season, of course, following Freddie Freeman a year ago. Now Dansby going to the north side. It's been an extraordinary class of free agent shortstops overall. And Harold, we talked before about the durability of Dansby Swanson. 162 games played for him with the Braves in 2022. Here is how the Cubs defensive alignment could look. Perhaps
something
we'll
to
see
dream on.
Patrick Wisdom playing as well in one of the corners.
Something to dream on.
Do they maybe get a first baseman as well? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
There's still some work to be done there, I would say, for sure. But Dansby Swanson for 7 years is a great start to that regard. I guess one of the things that the critics love about this deal, JP, and you can speak to this as well, so can Harold as a middle infielder. Nico Hoerner moves to second base, where he's very, very good. This might be the best up the middle in the division, if not in the National League defensively.
Certainly, Matt. I would say that when you consider the way that the defensive alignment looks overall, and as I was mentioning, you might even see Patrick Wisdom playing some third, some first. Do they make a play for a first baseman or free agent, maybe a Hosmer or a Mancini when you consider Hosmer's sudden availability there with respect to the Boston Red Sox? But I love it up the middle. Nico Hoerner, to me, was very good as a shortstop. He becomes dynamic, top of the class, as you point out, over at second base. And when you look at the big picture overall, as we had the graphic of the defensive alignment, you bring in Cody Bellinger. It's a World Series champion who's got a great MVP pedigree, trying to get back to that level. Swanson has won a championship with the Braves. Morel is an up-and-coming talent. We saw him there at third base potentially for this defensive alignment. This is a professional team now. You've got Jameson Taillon coming in as a starting pitcher. I like the way the Cubs have really closed the gap on the St. Louis Cardinals. Yes, they've lost Wilson Contreras there to St. Louis, but guys, when you consider the way this Cubs lineup and this Cubs pitching staff has also emerged in recent years, I think maybe they add one more arm. I've even heard some rumblings of a Michael Fulmer possibly. Do they look at behind the plate and maybe add a Tucker Barnhart? This is a team that has gotten better and better incrementally, it seems, as the weeks have gone along this offseason. And
well,
I think
they're better.
Swanson
They still got a ways to go, but they're better.
Yeah, they do. They do, Harold. But this signing, I think, with Swanson announces the Cubs' intention to contend in 2023 and beyond.
It turns the corner.
The rebuilding phase is over. Exactly. It's an important, I think, landmark signing for someone that I believe is going to make a real professional stamp on this team, Dansby Swanson.
Hey, so I want to come back to something that I had missed with all the transactions, but the Red Sox let Hosmer go. So tell us about that, how that came. I missed that.
DFA'd with 3 years left on his deal.
Right. So he DFA'd. So now we'll see what happens in the days ahead. Not formally declared as a free agent yet. Of course, he could still be traded. Maybe they eat some of the money. Of course, the Padres, there was money involved there with that deal at the trade deadline. But you're right. It's a pretty interesting situation now with Eric Hosmer's future and where it's going to be. I look at this overall free agent class now. He sort of enters it, assuming that he clears waivers, assuming that they can't trade the contract. He now joins the likes of Trey Mancini. Of course, Yuli Gurriel's been part of this free agent class as well. But Hosmer, I just think it was a case where he didn't quite fit the Red Sox plans right now. They want Casas to have the chance to play first base. So now all of a sudden, somewhat unexpectedly, Hosmer's available, and we'll see what the cash part of that deal ends up being. But it's entirely possible that if the Cubs or the Red Sox have to simply release him, that he's going to be available now and entering what's certainly now going to be a free agent class, that we're looking at some of the bargains that maybe some teams could get as we approach the new year.
All right, let's refocus on the Windy City. So the Cubs land Dansby Swanson. A lot of people say it's about time they spend some money.
About time. Got 10 kids.
Yeah, I don't know about the kids part of it, but it is about time they spent a little dough in this market. And the White Sox, not to be outdone, not the same kind of deal that Swanson got, but they land a corner left-handed hitting outfielder by the name of Andrew Benintendi on a 5-year deal. Tell us about that contract.
5 years, $75 million. I think Benintendi's agents did a great job on this, because there was some thought, when you consider other players that were signing for shorter-term deals as corner bats, that maybe it was going to have to be more of a short-term 1 or a 2-year prove-it sort of a contract. But Benintendi gets 5 from the White Sox. And I love the way that he complements, Harold, the athleticism of this White Sox team. This has been, for a long time, a somewhat high-risk, high-reward position player group. The injuries to Robert, the injuries to Jimenez, the injuries to Moncada. I think Pedro Grifol is going to do a great job as now the manager of this team. Of course, Pedro Grifol knows Benintendi from their time together in Kansas City. And here is how this lineup's going to come together. I love the way that Matty emphasized the left-handed element, because now you're seeing a lineup that has some balance. Right side with Anderson, left with Benintendi, right, then a switch, then a right again with Vaughn. Of course, Vaughn steps in now and replaces Jose Abreu at first base. Grandal as a switch hitter. You're hoping for a bounce back there. It's a team that I think is going to get better as the year goes along if they can stay healthy. Health is the big thing. If that group of 9 is out there every day, they have every expectation of being able to compete against Cleveland for the division title. You've got Dylan Cease. You've got Giolito. There's a lot to like with this team. And I just think that having now that lefty bat, if Andrew has a good, healthy first season, this is a team that I think can compete with almost anybody else in the American League Central.
It's funny how we're saying they can compete now. In the last 2 years, we're like, they're going to win it all.
Yeah, I got a couple takeaways on that. First of all, get me to the window ASAP to bet on Gavin Sheets to hit more than 30 homers.
Wow.
That's my take. He's the next great power thing to come out of there. The second most surprising thing about that board that we showed everybody that noted Benintendi as the highest paid Chicago White Sox player ever is the fact that the previous high mark was Grandal, 4 for 73. 73. That was the highest, the biggest total deal in Chicago White Sox franchise history. Wow. And at 75, it now belongs to Andrew Benintendi. Shocking. I mean, we all assumed that back in the day when they signed Albert Bell that it was for the kind of money that's being thrown around today. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right? So the White Sox are doing a yeoman's job at keeping those numbers reasonable. I mean, I say reasonable. For us, it's a lot of dough, but in baseball sense,
we'll see if any of these homegrown guys can do something.
And that's the key. Let's put it that way. They have done a good job in all 3 phases. In free agency, in the trades that they consummate, and in developing their own players, internationally for sure. So it's a reasonably well-priced payroll that should put the White Sox in a position to go buy another starter if they want to add a lefty, because there is no lefty in the rotation now. White Sox are in a great spot. I know that the Twins have made moves. I
agree, Matt. And I think we are now entering the phase, and I alluded to this earlier, with all the different moves, and we're going to get into a lot of them that happened over the weekend during the course of this conversation. But we're now at a spot where you can probably get a lower-cost starting pitcher. You know, one name we'll probably talk about later on, Michael Wacha. I could potentially see him as being a good fit with the Chicago White Sox. I referenced earlier Michael Fulmer. My understanding is he wants the chance to start, or at least go to a place where he could potentially start. Maybe it's sort of a swing role for him, bullpen starting. So this is now the time where the GMs and the assistant GMs and the pro scouts really, really earn their paychecks, because there are some really impactful players to get. You have to just think about the right ones. And Matt, I want to make sure that I give Harold some credit on this, and I'm sure we have this queued up for later on in the show. But how many times did Harold tell us with the Braves, it's going to be Vaughn Grissom at shortstop. Well, it's going to be Vaughn Grissom at shortstop. The first start that he makes at shortstop for the Braves in 2023 is going to be his first ever major league start at the position. But he has a lot of experience out in the minor leagues, played a lot of second base. He's been working with Ron Washington. Age 22 years young. Vaughn Grissom, just as you said, the job's going to be his.
Well, he says all the time on his own behalf that if he was a writer.
If I was a writer, I'd be dangerous.
Right. He nailed this one. JP, way to go, man.